It's been around for years, but lately it's been given a new name. It's being called New Age music. It's been described as a combination of classical, folk, and jazz. It's one of the fastest growing segments of the music business. There is now a category for New Age music in the Grammy Awards. Joining us now is John Sebastian, Program Director of New Age radio station WBMW here in Washington. Actually, it's in Fairfax, Virginia. And Chip Davis, a composer and performer of New Age music. Welcome.
Thank you.
I want to get to your record company in a minute, but I mean, what is this? What are we talking about? New Age
Well,
music.
if you're going to ask me to describe it, I can only answer it by saying it's almost indescribable. When listeners listen to it, they say it's like tuning into a radio station from Mars. They say that it feels like we're doing subliminal messages so that they can't stop listening to it. It's wonderful, magical, beautiful music that's never been heard on the radio before.
If that was what we just saw as one example, also Chariots of Fire is an example of New Age music, isn't it?
I think so, yes. Vangelis.
Vangelis is one of the most popular artists, isn't he?
He's one of them, along with
Chip. We're going to talk to Chip in a second. But why is it sweeping the country? I mean, other than the fact that people like to listen to it.
It's like one of these stories of overnight success that has taken years.
Yeah.
He's been doing it 10 years.
Right.
I've been working on this radio concept for 5 years. I think it's finally caught hold because it's finally on a couple of big radio stations.
Yeah.
It's been on some small radio stations, and now that it's on in Washington and in Los Angeles and other places, it's just taking fire because it's something people have been needing for a long time.
If you look at is it doing well in terms of the radio stations that carry it, or are they doing well in the ratings?
Yes, very well. We're too early still in Washington to find out just how big we're going to get. But the station in Los Angeles that is doing it, for instance, went from 17th to 7th in one rating period in the 25 to 54 adult audience.
That'll make some money for you, won't it?
That'll make big money.
Yeah, sure, big money we're talking. You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Nothing new for you. I mean, you got discovered, and I assume you want to resist being pigeonholed as New Age.
Well, yeah, in fact, it's kind of difficult to explain what New Age is, so I guess in a way it's really been a tremendous boon for us, though, as far as sales are concerned, because our music, as far as in the retail business, has been very difficult to find. We've shown up in basically by format. If we have a CD of something out, it might be in classical. A cassette might end up in rock and roll, and the album of it might end up in jazz or something.
Yeah.
So now that there's New Age, at least people, really know where to find it.
Does it have staying power?
Well, we've been doing it for basically 12 years, and we've had a pretty good-sized audience for a long time.
What have you been doing for 12 years?
Well, just doing this uncategorizable music, I guess.
All right, but what is this uncategorizable music?
Well, my particular kind that I do is a combination of rock and classical, Baroque. Sometimes there's country implications to the pieces, and it's a sort of a fusion blending of almost any kind of music that you can put together.
Any vocals?
No, that's one of the threads that seems to be common to a lot of New Age, is that there are very few vocals usually in it.
We are using a few vocals on the radio station, but they all have to maintain what all of Chip's music maintains, and that's this highest level of quality. What you're finding is not only are artists like Mannheim Steamroller and Guitarro and Andreas Vollenweider and Vangelis doing this music, but even some of the more contemporary, well-known artists are doing music that fits this. Sting, Elton John, Phil Collins.
Music that could be categorized as New Age?
Yes, it can be, but it's the cuts that wasn't heard on the radio before. It's that isolated cut on the album or the CD that they did for them that shows the highest level of their musicianship, that in the past they've said, I don't want to deal with that because there's no outlet for it. Now there's an outlet for even the mass appeal contemporary artists to show their stuff, if you will, and do the very best stuff that they can.
Let me take a look. This is a video clip from Mannheim Steamroller's Christmas album, Deck the Halls, an example of the New Age music sound. Here it is. good example, would you say, traditional Christmas music done in the New Age way?
Absolutely. Like I said, I've said many times, Mannheim Steamroller epitomizes what we're doing. Their show is coming up in Washington shortly, and it's going to do very well, and they've got a tour all over the country. But I think that's a good example for people to get an idea of how beautiful it is, how relaxing it is.
We're going to talk a lot about some of the criticism of the Muzak idea and all of that, but you discovered this in an interesting way. What happened? You heard one piece and you said...
That is an interesting story if we have time for it. Back in 1982, I was a very successful album rock consultant. Right. Very, very opposite from this, and before that I did Top 40. And we were sitting around at a party, and a cut by Kitaro came on the turntable, and someone in the party said, "That's a great track, it's too bad that's too good to be on the radio." And that was the genesis of this whole thing for me and for radio, in that I felt embarrassed and literally wrote down on a legal pad songs too good to be on the radio, researched the 25 to 44 baby boomer group, and really stumbled across this great disenchantment with radio, and came to the very idealistic conclusion that I was going to give up everything I had done before. And ever since 1982, I've been working on getting this exposed to radio.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about some of the questions that some people have who are not exactly big fans of New Age music. Back in a moment. We're back talking about New Age music. The criticism is it's Muzak for yuppies.
Yeah, I've also heard it called vinyl volume.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
Actually, you know, there's a lot of different kinds of New Age music that are out floating around, and some of it has a very spacey, kind of wandering sort of sound to it, and some of it is very thought out, very structured type of music. And I think probably the audience is looking for a little bit of all of that. And one of the things that really categorizes New Age music to me is the fact that I think the speed of the world right now is going so tremendously fast. The competition for jobs, all that sort of thing, really is so demanding that I think people need a little bit of a rest from everything. And the New Age music seems to have some sort of a magical sparkle, as John's saying.
You mean it's a respite from the
yeah,
hurly-burly
I think
of
it
the
really
fast track.
helps diffuse some of the tension that everybody's going through.
Did you do Convoy?
Yeah.
And you composed that?
Yeah.
And won a country music award back in, what, 76, 77?
Yeah, 76. Country.
And how in the world did you get from there to here?
Well, it wasn't by truck.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, during that time, I was writing a lot of this fresh air music that I'm known for now.
Yeah.
And it was a...
fresh air music.
Yeah, that's actually the name of the record series. Yeah. And it was just something I was doing as a hobby at the time. And it was sort of the way John was relating to artists having cuts that weren't known for their airplay thing. I was doing the fresh air sort of thing as a hobby, and it wasn't really accepted. There wasn't any real radio play, but we were getting a lot of sales sort of under the counter with a lot of fans who really like quality things. And it was our way to do a lot of expression as far as our artistic talents go. And so it really started all around the same time. It's just taken a lot longer for this to develop. And now with the advent of radio station play, it's really been a tremendous help to us. You have your own record company? Mm-hmm. And just New Age music? Well, we have actually a little bit of everything, which is probably, would categorize it as New Age. It's got classical, jazz, and also...
American Gramophone is a great name. I'm surprised no one else had taken that name. What's it, American Gramophone what? Just
American Gramophone Records.
Records, okay. AGR, huh?
Yep, that's it.
All right. Where does it go? What's going to happen to it?
Well,
what does it need? Airplay has done one thing.
Yeah, Airplay is making it, according to all the top trade periodicals, the fastest growing radio format in America now, which is what I predicted back in 1982.
Just from my curiosity, what did it replace?
It didn't replace anything. See, and it doesn't have to replace anything. You've got this large group of people all across America that are disenchanted with the radio choices up to this point, and we're bringing them back to radio. Now, we're certainly taking little pieces from other radio stations and other radio formats, but we're not deplenishing any of them. We're bringing people back to radio. And as far as the format having longevity, it will, and this kind of answers your other questions about it being yuppie Muzak or not. People can listen in two different ways to this. They can listen as a relaxing respite, or they can listen because it's the newest, most challenging music to come along since progressive album rock of 20 years ago. That's what it is, and that's why it's replenishing.
What's challenging about it?
Well,
The compositions?
It's a high level of musicianship. It's something that really, a lot of the music, a lot of the musicianship wasn't even able to do 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It's really a new kind of music, the newest form of music that we've had in a long time, and it's impossible on a show like this to try to describe it. But the reason it's going to last is because it's all new music. It's not based on oldies, and a lot of the other formats are based on oldies for all intents and purposes.
You mentioned Elton John and some others. Do you expect we'll see more artists coming to New Age music and doing New Age music?
Absolutely. A lot of the artists, like Yanni, used to be rock artists and saw this as a way to, again, show off their highest level of their musicianship and get into a whole new genre. So I think a lot of people
to achieve that kind of popularity, doesn't it need lyrics and vocals?
I don't think so. Now, we do play some vocals.
Michael Tomlinson. Real commercial success. I don't know
I don't think
anything
so.
about the radio business, so I'm asking.
To have real commercial success, I don't think it does. Here in Washington, there's going to be 4 shows sold out by Mannheim Steamroller. Kataro sold out their show. They're having sold-out performances all over the country. So I think in the same way, people can go out and buy these records, and they can become very, very big hits in the genre of the baby boomers.
But not replacing rock and roll, for example. Or
no.
In other words, for the audience that now, most stations that I know, the majority of them are rock and roll stations, aren't they?
Yeah, contemporary stations of some
most
sort.
Contemporary, some kind of contemporary stations. Does this replace them? Are they now simply, or are they simply going to have New Age music if your fondest dreams are realized at the top of their playlist?
Well, I don't think it has to work that way. I think people have eclectic taste. I think they like a variety of different things, and we're just augmenting their choices. Radio listeners across America have been screaming for further choices, for more variety in the potential of what they can get on there. Well, by telling us in the research that we've done, by looking at the research that we have in the Arbitron and Nielsen ratings.
Sales.
Sales.
Yeah, record sales and things like that for us are showing that there's that demand for finding a completely different idiom to get out in.
Yeah, and sales reverse-wise, 25 to 44, people weren't buying records in that age group. Now they are. They're coming back to the record stores, and they're coming back to the radio.
I'm curious about this. When you print, I don't only buy CDs now for the most part, occasional cassette, no vinyl at all. Am I in the majority of Americans?
Well, within the last few years, it's really changed a lot towards CD. In fact, this year we've seen vinyl down around as low as 10% of overall sales. I mean, CDs are very high now. Yeah. Cassette is still the highest.
What kinds of, what sells on CD similar to what sells on cassette?
Well, yeah, I mean, it can be the exact same thing. In a lot of ways, you know, rock and roll has shown up quite a bit on cassette, and I think a lot of that's because it's movable music. Cassette, you can take it in your car, you can take it to the beach with you, you can do just about anything. The thing about CD that's really great for people like us is it really shows off your quality aspects.
The musicality of the artist.
Right, and you know, when you go to extended lengths like we do to do really high quality recording, using the right kind of equipment and all that sort of thing, the CDs really show that off.
Yeah. Thank you both. Interesting ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Pleasure.
Thank you, John. Pleasure to have you. Night Watch continues. Back in a moment. Coming up this week on Night Watch, while Chicago still mourns the death of its mayor, Harold Washington, the battle is on to succeed him, and we'll take a look at that fight. Also, we'll be joined by Dr. Ruth Westheimer. She is America's favorite sex therapist, and we'll talk with Jill St. John. She's an actress who also has a talent in the kitchen. In the meantime, for all of us here at Night Watch, I'm Charlie Rose in Washington.